feeds off, it seems like that it was created for this purpose, and each one of them feeds off of itself. For instance, everybody wants or believes or knows that African Americans, when they go to the university anywhere else, when they come out, instead of going in private industry, they're going to go into the government. That's why you'll see so many government officials, you know what I mean, that are black, because that's where they go. They don't go in private industry. Or they may not go directly to get elected in politics. They may move up in the system, right? Get a name, then they might hit some political thing. So the point is right now, when we talk about integrating into the system, when we talk about safety for black people, for Latinos, for Asians, when you talk that language, you're talking a time-specific benefit that the system has created itself. This is time specific. White people, they go take business management, they go in the private industry. They used to, more than they went into the government. Black people, if they became proficient in business management in the university, they got a master's or a PhD, they would join the government, right? And so, if people wanted job security, because that's the main thing, hey man, for job security and for this, that, and other, that's why people see, you'll never get rich working for the government, but you won't starve to death either. You know what I mean? You won't starve to death. You will have whatever, a middle-class salary, generally. Okay. And as you move up in the government, you'll get a semi-little upper middle. You still won't be rich as you would get in private industry if you hit. But if you get in the government, after you're there 6 months or a year, they can't get rid of you no more, right? The civil service, they have to pass an act of Congress to get rid of you, you know, under the Civil Service, whatever they call it, act. Okay, but they have that. They can't get rid of you, hey man. Anyway, but the point is, people do that for safety, for security, and for stability, right? And after so many years of coming from poor families or other middle-class families, like we have many of them that are black, they got to the middle class and they could stay there because, right, they become a police officer, right? And if you're a police officer, there's certain things that go with the job. You can be a drunkard, but not a teetotaler. I mean, you can't be no old, you can't be sloshing around drunkard. You know what I mean? You have to learn to control yourself because they got PT training. Every now and then you gotta go back, right? It's like in the fire department, right? You gotta, every now and then, you gotta go back, right? They have that in the fire department and kind of, so after you get in, once you get in there, you don't have to run up no more stairs or take no more, drag no.
Not for trucking, no. Not for you know, not to check on you, make sure you in shape. No, you don't have to. Once you in,
Right. Yeah. Okay. But do the people train from? Do the majority of the people in the fire department do some physical fitness?
Once you get like a tech position,
right.
those are the ones you see with the fat.
With the tummies and everything. Yeah.
So
yeah.
no, they don't. Not
okay.
In the fire department, they don't do
But here's the point. See,
Young guys, only the young guys
yeah,
that
yeah,
come in, you know,
right. They gung ho and right.
they you get the tummies and you get
Are those beer runs that the fire truck go off and it goes and you see it at Safeway? You hear it. One of the brothers was telling me it's a lunch run or a beer run.
well, I don't know about the big. Well, sometimes, but no, usually it's the grocery store.
That's why you see them. You go on and see them going to the grocery store and what have you.
They going to get the food for the meal or for breakfast or whatever.
Right, right. Okay. Do they cook the meal or do they have the brothers in there can cook a little bit? Very good, very good. Okay. Now, back to civil service work. Whether it's the fire department, whether it's the police department, whether it's probation officers, they're not nice at all. They're just a mean bunch. The black ones are the worst almost. But still, if you are in the system, this is where people automatically, I'm sure most of the Kamala Harris was over at Howard, right? And she ran over, she was the head DA in San Francisco. And then she became Attorney General of California. Then she became Senator and then Vice President. Okay. But she's the same woman that wanted to put black people in jail for their kids not going to school, high school, whatever. I said, good God Almighty, that was a mean lady there. In fact, I was in California on and off, so I knew it was true. But the point is, strategic brilliance is a battlefield, well, battlefield relate to tactics more than strategy, but it is a high strategy. Strategic brilliance is when your strategy has mostly benefits and very few deficits, or right? So now let's kind of just breeze over this strategy of infiltration and saturation of all the civil service work. So we would say, instead of the tree huggers spiking trees is when you spike the tree and then you had a chainsaw cutting through the tree and you almost get killed by it hitting the chainsaw. This is pretty serious, boy, I tell you. So that's what they do a lot. For those people, and half of them are already educated to a sufficient level, instead of them trying to stop the cutting down of the forest and preventing forest, they should join those. They're already educated, but as they doing their work, they getting money and they got time to still go to school and elevate themselves. They will be like police. Because from what I understand, the tests and everything that's given and the promotions are given more on tests than on work. You know what I mean? If you're a super duper police that just arrests everybody and got a zillion arrests and 50 million convictions, that might be fine, but if you can't hardly read and write, you're not going to make much promotion. But if you got them tests down, that's the way the white lady became the chief of police. All the people that get up in that arena, it's the education that's got them there. right? Okay, they're all master's degrees and up in that arena, right? On management, organization, all of that stuff. All right. So therefore, just visualize a whole cadre in every institution and every, no matter whatever the civil service branch it is, including the post office, it just don't make no difference. Everybody improve themselves and educate themselves. So if they're in the university right now, as soon as you get your first degree, join up. Join up, but you can go, you can get the way to work now is 8-hour day or such and such. You can take so many classes and you can earn a living, right? Plus do your college, right? That's my understanding of it, that you can do both. Yeah, and eat and everything, because it's a middle class salary. A middle class salary now, if you live below middle class and you get a middle class salary, you can build up a nest egg. You can build up a nest egg. Okay.
Everything that I do know is as a firefighter, I went to EDC and took classes.
Mm-hmm.
And they pay for it. That's the other thing.
What?
Oh yeah, when you're a government employee, you want to go to school, they pay for it. That's the other thing.
The Negro can't do it. Okay, forget it. All Negroes, look, you got to do this. It's too easy now. That's what I meant to say, that in time, I didn't know that, but they facilitate.
You take something within the context of your profession.
Right.
But you can also, but I took, things like that I wanted to take.
Man alive.
Yeah, they kind of have those same things going on in the private industry, but it's like they might only cover half. I think Hughes would only cover half of your education.
It don't make no difference. Anything. They facilitating us in this. They didn't mean for it to be used the way we're talking. Okay, there's a possible time limit for what we're talking about. 5 years, that's easy. 10 years, they might be like the Congress and everything, try to switch it around. Too many of us use it. I believe that the way it's structured right now, there's enough time for us to, when I say us, that means I want you to visualize Mexican Americans, Filipinos. Well, a lot of those people, they do that. They've already infiltrated in California, Filipinos and all that. They've infiltrated county work and city work. Everywhere you go, it's a Filipino, okay. And they've done that. And Filipinos in nursing, they study nursing heavily, subsidized nursing in the Philippines, so they could jump right on a plane and come over here, right, and take care of their whole family back home, one of them on a nurse's salary, because they have a nursing shortage here. Okay, the point I'm making is, also the surprise. We have to get busy on this right away, because the element of surprise is gone after you declare we could use this for the benefit of humanity. Okay, the government got all these programs for the benefit of themselves. I just want you to imagine, though, with the currency being the way it is, with China creating a super middle class Middle class shrinking, 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 shrinking in America. Can you imagine some people work 2 jobs? Some people work 3 jobs in America. This is insanity. When I was growing up, one man, they could buy a house, send all the kids to college and everything on one man's salary. That's when they had housewives. That's when on TV, 65, all Peyton Place and certain kind of, all that stuff was, that was housewife. White women they didn't have nothing to do. They was at home, and the husband was working.
They had a census on the radio, it was like some months ago, about the average sleep that Americans get, maybe 3 to 4 hours a day because they work like 2 or 3 jobs. They got to, they had no choice. I mean, it was like a big census they made, like WHO or something like that.
No. That's true. So 2 and 3 jobs, but see, the other jobs paid you a salary where one man could take care of his whole family, buy a brand new car, Chevrolet, have a 3-bedroom house in the suburbs, right? In brand new home tracks, right? In 65, in 60, in 55, all the white people, that's what they did. The white women didn't work, unless they had to, something was wrong, you know. They did not work. That's what housewives were. They just was home and, you know, and what have you. But here's the point. We're looking at it in a time-specific arena. This is a specific time for this policy. Number one, the main policy is safety for the black community, safety for the Mexican American community, safety for the Asian community. Of course, we got to have unity and harmony. But see, the system is forcing us together. The Asians, just a couple of years ago, didn't want to have nothing to do with blacks. They was running as Republicans, right? And niggas ought to work harder. We came over here from Vietnam, and now we're just, you know, we open a donut shop, and that's it.
I saw something where they said 80% of donations to the Proud Boys came from Asians.
80%.
80%
Oh,
came from Asians.
yeah. And it's still that now?
They didn't say whether it was still, I'm just saying that's what I read maybe last month that it was put out there at 80%.
Well, see, last month is when they start killing, a month before last, when they start killing Asians, right. And all of a sudden, you would have got that percentage from almost anybody because Asians and blacks didn't get along. And when you watch some Asian old woman get jumped on, probably the police sent that nigga to jump on the woman and put it on TV. You see what I mean? Because from my understanding, Negroes were not jumping on old Asian women. You know what I mean? And some of the Asians were our friends. My brother, his first job, my second oldest brother, they followed they were Chinese, of course. See, in California, all the stores were Chinese stores back in the 50s and 60s, and especially it was in the white neighborhoods and all the corner stores, which a lot of the shopping was done in corner stores in those days because they didn't have as many big supermarkets like now. They have huge, so a lot of people just went up to, or all the things like butter and sugar you either got from your neighbor over the fence, butter, milk, sugar. In fact, they had believe it or not, they had a milkman in those days. That you left your back door open and everybody knew it. And the milkman put milk in your refrigerator and took the bottles. People don't believe that. That's where America was so relaxed that you left your door open. And the milkman there's a milkman. Right? Brother Ayub, the people don't believe they used to have a milkman that drove around in the truck. And everybody knew that your door was open because the milk bottles.
And they had the metal box that sat by the door. I didn't see that, but I did see my grandmother.
It was a milkman. This is a different environment. So that environment is not coming back anyway soon. But we have to take advantage of the time, space that we're occupying by the gift of time as it has unfolded through the ages, recording man's successes and failures. Okay, what I'm saying is that this time of government jobism, it used to be like black people liked it because they could get stability, and everybody was always talking about stability, stability, stability. You don't want to take a chance on getting rich because you might go broke. You know what I mean? Just to take no, we didn't teach take chances, right? No, they didn't teach it. They could teach, no, they don't teach that. So, when things get ready, those big, huge transitions, the system itself then aided the people in that, right? So what I'm saying is right now, we're living in a period of time where the only surviving institutions may be federal, state, and local. Because with economies, with money, they're giving money away. That means this can go on so long. We don't have no calendar with a date on it when this thing is going to come down. When it comes down, that means that they're going to need the state, all those institutions to keep things in check. If it were to happen too soon, before the population stabilizes in our favor, when I say that, that means white people will be a minority soon. They might be there now. In California, they hit that several years ago. When white people were a minority, they're a minority in California. But remember, they got tons of Asians, blacks, and all other minorities in California. It may take longer in the Midwest. But during these periods of destabilization, they can use the institutions against the people because the people are not getting salaries, they're right? So, if we leave it to them, all of them are going to be in the positions of using the power. So we say, oh no, we owe it to our children, our wives, our families, everybody, our history, to put a freeze on that. I'm not saying forever, for the next 200 years join the system, but I'm saying for the next 20 years. Overload that boy. And It's set up for you. It's set up for us right now. It's set up for Negroes and others. I didn't even know you just raise your hand and they start giving you a salary for going to school. Go to school. Go to work right away. Even if you got a little associate's, just a little bitty degree, right? That's fine. Study, what are you in? Management and all of that. You study that. If you study that at the university, that is the same kind of test they're going to give you, right? In the police department is the same kind that they're going to give you in your university test, basically, right? That type of thing, and then you become test-wise. So pretty soon, by the time you got a master's degree, you're management material, leadership material, sergeant material, lieutenant material, captain material, and then eventually, imagine how many Negroes we have in management now. Half the time you see a police chief, now it's a Negro. Not half the time, but there's plenty of them. But they don't have no critical mass. What about critical mass? In 5 years, we start getting the numbers in there. We don't have to start getting, we already got the numbers, but I'm talking about big numbers. And I'm talking about every institution that exerts power over the people. Every institution. That means no haphazardry for black people. Either you're going to get in there doing it, or you're going to teach it to other people. You know what I mean? As teachers and what have you. No matter where you get in, and you get in there, have to do a little teacher's aid, don't make no difference, but you evolve. You see what I mean? So what I'm saying is, what we're pushing right now, just like Booker T. Washington, he taught, and up from slavery and all that, he taught a certain type of attitude and reality that, okay, we don't want to become brainy, we want to become workers, right? And everybody was mad at him. No, it's no problem. Bricklayers, how much money do bricklayers make? Good God Almighty. Bricklayers, we want to, home builders, right? Plumbers. The talented tent Negro said, absolutely not. We're not going to clean any sewers. We're not going to do that. That's not smart. And I told one of the brothers here, I said, actually, every group that ever come here, that's where they start. Look at everybody, who fixes, who's painting everything, who's doing all that around here. But they're driving new trucks and everything. They wasn't driving them 20 years ago. When I got here, they was pushing their car to get it started just like we used to do a long time ago, or 30 years ago. They were not like now. Now they moving in everywhere. Why? Because they started at a certain level, then they took that over. They took that over. Okay, we have to reformulate that policy because they are like us in many ways. They, even the Asians, now we're in a certain boat that we like it in that boat because they got us lumped in there with everybody, right? Spanish speakers, right? And Asians didn't want to be in there with us. They did, I don't like to. No, I mean, they said they were not dumb, but Asians, well, Pacific Island, there's different levels of Asians, excuse me. Koreans, Chinese used to study so hard at Berkeley, they said you're not a minority anymore. talking about 25, 30 years ago, Chinese, they stopped being a minority because they were so smart. Not they were smart, that's all they did. They didn't play, have a good time. All they did was study. And they made white people look dumb. You know, they made them look dumb. Duh, dummy. Then I remembered in the 6th grade in 1956, Barbara, she won the spelling bee in 1956. And she was in my classroom, you know, Barbara Kong. She's a lawyer now, married a white man. And they had a store on the corner, and they bought up the whole corner. It's time they bought up the whole corner. I saw, George died years and years ago, but Miss Kong was in a laundromat. They done bought from here all the way up to here. There used to be my record store. She's in there, folding clothes. So I went in and talked to her. I said, you ought to take a vacation, go back to China and have a good time. But what's the sister you said? Why are you here working? Well, I don't know what to do. That's why I say, you know, time is moving on, so go have a good time. Lo and behold, she did. She went on, because they were like, you know, they wasn't distant Chinese, like we were all right there in the neighborhood, you know. And so the point is that there's a time, a historical period, when history assists you in doing what you want to do if you make the right decision, right? Like sailboats. If you set the sail correctly, right? You're using the wind to help take you where you want, right? The wind is blowing on your back, you got it made. If it's blowing against you, you got a little work to do. You can get there, but it's going to take. What I'm saying is this: we live in a historical period. Nobody's using this period properly. They're not using this period properly. You want to be a good Negro? From now on, do just like we was talking against. Get you a good education and use all the benefits, right? They're going to give you, but you have to have a certain consciousness with it. That's the difference between this period. And it's not only us recommending this for Negroes, we're recommending this to white people, right? That their plan has not been moving correctly, right? They can't save the whales or get a PhD in whaleology, right? And then get on everything that have money going to whales, you get on that committee, right? And then you get organized enough and you, instead of going and burning the boats, you know, which you burn a big boat, they're just going to fix it back up, right? And put you in jail. So you can't burn with one boat every 5 years because you're going to do the rest of the time in jail, right? No. Instead of doing that, join up. Just imagine now that if we have, let's call a critical mass 25%. If we got 25% of the government is good people that came there for a purpose. They came there for a purpose. 25% of the police are not going to shoot any black people. And when they get critical mass, they may almost stop arresting black people. Not because they're not committing crime, but because of the historical injustices, right? And the longer they're there, the more they're going to be educated on what was the purpose of a police department in the first place. Everybody know slave catchers, right? They've got it on all their books. This is what the police department started for, to catch niggas, right? Okay, this is a time, and see, a lot of people, they say, man, you done flipped up. No, 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 no. We have not flipped up. We've been heading here all along. We've been heading here all along. But the white man didn't know. You know why he didn't know? Because we didn't know. Right? He didn't know because we didn't know. Everything, I'm trying to tell you, everything we've been teaching people have been serious. But all along, we want to help. From the Quran, the poor brothers dying from heroin overuse, and this, that, and other, right? We've been easing toward this. We have been easing toward this because our religion, our way of life, is a humane way of life. And you start remembering and seeing everybody's situation where eventually we want those people to be our warm and fuzzy friends. All right? Okay. That's called evolution. That's why we've changed from 25 years ago or more, revolution or evolution over revolution. I mean, we would evolve. And now we get right here today. So let's just, for us, go over it kind of quickly. Number one, they're talking about we want to change defund the police. That's going to last about 3 weeks because the police are organized, right? And they'll mess things up so bad, right? That that's going to be it. They can do that because they're organized. So the situation is presenting itself to us so that if we join in the system, which used to be a curse word, join in the system with purpose, with goals, with focus, right? We're not joining the police department to beat nobody upside the head. But if we don't join, if we don't get ourselves together, the system is going to use its own system against us like it's doing already, right? The police departments, you can mess with them for 2 or 3 weeks, but after a while they're going to be right back on. You can kill all the little children in time, but pretty soon they're going to be right back to keep your guns, right? Yeah, I believe the police is the one. The government is the one killing all the people, putting something in their water and making them do it. This is my belief. I've always believed that. I've always believed that this is an organized campaign. And everything that they use, there's one guy used to come on TV all the time. They gave him a case not too long ago. That fool, when I first saw him on TV, I knew something was wrong, but he stayed on TV, and then all of a sudden, he was talking about all the kids that was killed up in Alex Jones, yeah. They made it up. And the people taking their children to the graveyard, this man, he's with them. Yeah, he's with them. Because half of the stuff he says, the people love it, right? They love it, and half of it is half true. Then he mixes that in, and they set him up to catch him on it. Like the same thing with 9/11. They were sending out a lot of stuff around to us that sounded good, but it didn't happen that way. We picked it up right away and stopped using it. And then when you turn on the radio, everybody that got jammed up, they was using that material. And then the radio commentator had things that jammed that stuff up, right? So it's okay over time. I'm saying is that we learned all this stuff over time. But the point is that history gives people's opportunities. This is now the time of a great opportunity for us. And guess what? We're already prone to that. We're already headed that way anyway. That's almost what 90% of us are going to do anyway, right? Get in the government. Okay, but now get in the government with focus and with purpose. What is all of that stuff on TV doing? It's getting our minds ready to do that, because we're seeing in our heart that no matter what happened. See, they want us to get mad, or they want us to do other things. No, we're not going to do that. Right? They're doing that to take us back to the 60s. We're not going back there with them. Oh, yeah? Because we've already tried to work within the system and it didn't work. No, you didn't work hard enough with consciousness. Work in the system. I'm not saying take over the system. But after you get so well saturated in the system, there's nothing, can nobody do anything, because there you are. You see what I mean? There you are. And so, okay, well, I'll speed up a little bit. That's where we'll be on this subject for months, because this is the system and this is the thing that is good for us to do right now. And when we start getting around, we're going to want all the questions we could get. There's an old saying about all roads leads to Rome. That's when Rome, the empire, the Roman Empire, right? So definitely the way the world was structured, that all routes and everything led to the capital. In the last 10 years, if you would remember Washington, D.C. 30 years ago, it was just a murder-infested, I don't know what. Have you seen, you can't go anywhere without seeing the new 8 and 10-story complexes all over the city. They're just, and no more Negroes. Right. That's what they say. Once you move out of D.C., you can't move back. I mean, you can't afford it. And the thing that they hate about us is that we done got locked in right here. Well, so it's only 8 pieces of property, but they trying to tax us out of here, run us out of here, do anything they can, right? Because we're strategically located, and the longer we stay, the higher everything, the more strategic this becomes. So everything that we thought about before, we thought about it for one reason, but it's all now coming back for a whole nother reason, plus what you wanted to do, right? Now, to be property owners is a big deal. Remember now, we own our property here and in Oakland. And in Oakland, the stuff they did is so stupid, we just sue them for, I don't know, millions. 100 million, 150 million, sure, 150 million. Yeah, they got to give it to us because they did it. The thing about it is the time limit we setting that. So they keep doing stuff so we'll fall into their time frame. No, no, no. By the gift of time, we have managed our life right now. So at this time, we're ready to exert this policy because this is the time for that policy to be push forward. And we're the ones that managed our own time. So we could be here and recognize it. Yeah, we could be here and recognize it. If we would have went back to California and did this, that, and other, something else might have happened. Well, we don't say this. We're saying we've been here at this time, and this is the time, and this is the place. This is the place. I think property values done doubled in the last couple of years, or something like that. The guy told me that's living over there, he said, man, they're remodeling those places. The place that was a one bedroom or a one something or other and had this, that, and other, he said they making it a 3-bedroom. A 3-bedroom, but with a kitchenette, not a full kitchen. Kitchenette. And all those other rooms, you know, like when you read it, you got so many rooms. And they say the closet space, you have a big closet. They said they done got rid of those. And now they're putting a little teeny closet. No. Well, we wonder why would they do all of that, that old building sitting right next to that. They hooking that. Only thing wrong with that building is the color. Good God Almighty. They could have got a better color. That's the penitentiary. That's penitentiary grade. That's terrible. That's okay if whatever you want to do, but what they're doing inside. He was telling me that they're going to charge $1,800 or $2,000 or something or more for the rent over there. So that must be the rents must have
But that's what they're saying, those 1-bedrooms that they're going to do that for?
no, they got 3 bedrooms over there, and they got 2 bedrooms, and they got other, whatever but it, huh?
Like a 2-bedroom, 2,000, that's actually on the low end for DC. That's on the low end for DC.
$2,000.
$2,000 for 2-3 bedrooms?
Downtown, where I was at, like 12th and H, and 12th and G Street, they were charging rent like $3,000 or $4,000. That was like 4 or 5 years ago then. That was like 3 or 4 years ago then, 3,000 or 4,000 average.
2 bedrooms.
They were starting to build those buildings up and
So, man, when we fix up our property, we're going to be rich. Not that anybody want to be rich, you know. Right? It's ridiculous. Right. Hey, man, just imagine. That's why they're trying to get rid of us so bad. We're in pocket more than we know. That's why Allah fixes you up at a certain time, and they think that this is going on and something else is going on. Let me speed it up here. All roads lead to Rome meant that this is the capital. What's the difference now about Washington, D.C. than before? It's always been the center of power, but why the big buildup? They had to get Euros back into the center city because in the old days, bring in the immigrants, bring in the poor and the needy to the center city. And the white people go out to the suburbs and further out, right? Then, when you get ready, flip it over and send all the young whites, what do they call them, urban immigrants or something like that. Urban pioneers, urban something or other. That all the young whites, they back in here. And they got the jobs that can support it living here. And they got dog walkers and they got all of that, right?
Well, I don't know if they can afford it because I've heard that they're coming back, but they're all living together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like their own.
It's not like they one and one grabbing this, that, and another.
They want to come here, but they're sharing
In San Francisco, they're doing like in San Francisco. They get a Mac mansion, 10 white folks, and they each get a room in there. They all own it together. All their names is on the deed. Yeah. So, but now, that means they'll be here though. They'll be here. Okay, that means the center of power is protecting itself now. The government is building itself up, not tearing itself down. It's strengthening its infrastructure, right? It's strengthening the police department. It's strengthening all the governmental institutions. So we saying, join up. Just join up. Get in there. Get as far as you can up to the top or in the middle, but just be there. And take all the benefits. If you're a police officer, you can buy 100,000 guns, right? So you could buy guns and keep them at your house for all of everybody that's on your team, the local Negro team. I'm not saying anybody would do anything like that. But imagine, everything is legal. And it's easy. This is the easiest way, the most functional way, the most inexpensive way, and the sanest way to handle things in America at this time. At this time. I've been sitting here for years trying to figure out what's the best recipe for success in America at this time for our people. And I would like for everybody for the next few weeks or months to try to figure out, and let's discuss what's good for America and us in America. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm happy to do it. Some people are like, man, you done flipped up. I say, well, what do you have in mind? What do you have in mind? Well, we're going to have a revolution. You and who? You and who, dear friend? You're going to have a personal revolution because ain't nobody, you can't get nobody with you because they all with the government. Everybody's boss man has been dealing with Negroes all the time, and you can't get 5 Negroes with you. 5. If you get 5, I give you $500,000 cash money. You get 5 Negroes ready to do something that's not psychologically damaged. You know. Anyway, so we're open for that discussion, but also we want to have some introductory speeches, not too heavy, not to develop our delivery. And we could start around here at Howard, or over at Baltimore, whatever they call it. What they got over there? Morgan, yeah. That used to be a BSU something or other. They still are? Okay, good. But they call it Morgan State now. Okay, good. Okay, here's what the idea. We develop to get around to our universities, and we present these ideas from the basis of blacks being killed, blacks need to protect themselves in police departments, all of that, what people can understand right now, you know. But we understand it as it's a total movement, it's a total social movement. And it serves, right now it'll serve all of the physical purposes and economic purposes. Because if it's enough of us in the government, and there's enough of us in the middle class, right? Then when we open a store or a shop, or our plumbers and everybody, right? There's enough of us that are of that mind that can support them. Right now, you're not going to call a black, when you see white roofers, roofers on people's houses around here, they white or somebody else, right? With this consciousness, pretty soon, we could support our workers right now. If the workers had enough sense just to go around to all the churches and leave flyers and put a picture of a man on the roof that's black, you know what I mean, and not say not them, but just let people know, right, that the Negro first, and guarantee people, we guarantee you we're going to do a good job, and if you don't like the job we do, we give you an opportunity to do this, that, and another, right? Because Negroes don't do good work. No, they're not. So, not all of them, but when I came, the people that did the first electricity, if they'd have continued, they'd have did a good job. But they did electricity here, and they did a little bit at my house. And they was recommended as a black, you know what I mean. And so when I called them, they came by. It was two older guys. I don't know if you remember those old guys that was working. And I asked them, I said, so you guys have been into this? Yeah. They said, we used to have 12 trucks. The black, he said, but the Negro won't work. That's what they said. I didn't say that. These guys were older. I mean, they were in their 60s and 70s then. They were getting ready for retirement. They had 2 trucks left. They used to have 12. Fully functional. That's why they got a name around here as a black, you know. The point is, we can rebuild the whole structure through quality work, right? This is not a piecemeal platform. This is a whole package, a whole solution. And so, that includes in every arena, even the U.S. military. Even the U.S. military. Go in there and fill it up. Try to kill as few people as you can, you know, to get by. In fact, don't kill nobody. They're going to get rid of you pretty quick because they're trying to kill everybody. But at least you'll be there for a while. But after you get a critical mass, right, you're there for the Constitution. It's the Constitution. You're telling us to go kill some guy in Mooga Booga land? I refuse, because it's unconstitutional. That's not what the military is supposed, right? When you get enough people, and you get enough people in court, and they start seeing it, hey, pretty soon, in other words, use the system against itself. Technically, that's your only choice. You don't have any other. I've been looking for them. I believe, you know, time is moving so fast. The environment being what it is, we don't have the time to wait on building a movement, That time for now, during this period, is past. So we have to use the one that exists. They created it to be 100% against us, and we're going to create it to help us, to help humanity. Right? That's all. Okay. That means every institution, evolution is survive, used to be survive, evade, and escape, but now it's survive, evade, what do they call it now? Not research, but, and then finally escape. So that's what we're going to have to do here in America. And Sabaka, now, our line, defend the Constitution. Defend the Constitution. So the Constitution technically has everything in there that you could defend. There's nothing in the Constitution that says you can go and start a war whenever you want and shoot niggas around the world. Nothing in the Constitution said that. But it's part against unjust wars, and the UN Charter, all that's on your side. The 4 freedoms, right in the UN Charter: freedom against hunger, freedom against oppression, freedom against such and such and such. Yeah. And all of those, not only the Constitution, but the UN Charter, we're saying that's what we support. You don't say it tomorrow or the next day, but when you get close to a critical mass, yeah, that's what we do. Iranians' winds of change. Iran, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Russia and China, Palestine. The winds of change. If you look at all of these, what do they mean? Just had an election in Syria the other day. Winds of change. Yemen suffered unbelievable, and it held to its thing, right? Iraq has been immobilized, but it's number 4 or 3 in oil, and it held. Iran has been under the gun ever since anybody can remember, and it's still intact. It's not perfect. It's having plenty of things going on, but it's still supporting serious movements all over the world. Okay. That's the winds of change. And then you take Russia and China. With Russia and China not being mad at each other, and they're 2 biggest giant countries. One has 8 time zones, or 10. I don't know what Russia got. Good God Almighty. Yeah, well, on one side of Russia is day, the other side is night. I mean, night. That it ain't going to be day for a long time. That's 8 time zones, at least 8 time zones. America got 3, big as it is. 3 time zones, that's all. Maybe 4 if you go all the way. Yeah. Okay, so this fulfills our certain dreams for right here. Somewhere over the rainbow, we've always been dreamers. Yeah. Here, we've always been idealists and dreamers, but functional dreamers. When people came here and tried to mess our stuff up, in 2002, Khadijah, the girl out there causing all that, what would be trouble anybody else, jumped on Karima, which was Tufayel's wife at that time, the white lady, jumped on her downstairs and messed up the whole, not messed up, but yeah, it messed up. We had the people come from all over the country, and that one fight. No, that was a design fight though. It was designed. Because I went out in the backyard with Brother Tufayel or Baba Kloon. I went out there with Abdul Malik. And I told them right there in that backyard, I said, okay, let me steer this thing that's just happened. And when we came back up in here to meet, first one opened their mouth is Brother Mukhtar to run interference on everything we disagreed out there. we agreed on out there. Yeah, so no problem. So I just turned around, looked at everybody. I said, well, I can, they're getting stabbed in the back here. That's 2002. That's when we said, okay, we're gonna alter this, the stuff that we was doing then. It took several years from 2002 to about 2008, 9, or 10. But all in 2005, we moving this way because we talking about it all that period till we had developed the thing to where now people that are doing certain things are uncomfortable. But I'm here by myself and they doing what they doing. And that's unusual. They don't have any movements where the so-called leader is by themselves and surrounded, but he's manipulating the environment. Yeah. And that's why, and write notes to himself. Kindness, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And we got to make sure that we're going to turn saboteurs and snitches into revolutionaries or good working people, right? That's all in the notebooks. That got us to where we are now because we could see how everything was going. They had everything at that time just the way they wanted it. Right? That I'm a figurehead, but I don't run nothing. Yeah, that's, and I'm invited everywhere because they're, whatever happens, they're going to be the recipient of everything. So I wasn't kicked out of the university system. And since they didn't think I knew what was going on in our own organization, or they thought that the weight of their organizational structure, nobody has ever survived it, so therefore he's just one person and ain't nowhere in the world he gonna put up with all of us. That's what they was thinking then. That was 18 years ago, 19 years ago, 2002. They laughed at that somewhere over the rainbow stuff. Yeah, they was technically up here, they was, when they was reading it, even some of the sisters was like that, you know, because boss man done taught them, and you could see it in their face and everything, that I am the boss man, and I done wrote that nigga off, and you guys are gonna do it. And they had the attitude that it's all over for you. Baba Kloon had it, everybody had it, same thing, it's all over. So, none of this stuff is new. But the thing that we have discovered is those policies from 2009 about hope, optimism, love, compassion, friendship, and all of that is technically the only way to go. It's the only way to go. It's almost like this is what we're doing now. It's the only avenue, right? You're looking at every avenue, right? Technically, it's the only one to go. Only thing is, will you go down that avenue? You may have talked this, you may have talked that. You see what I mean? That's what evolution. That's the problem with other people. They cannot change when the time comes to change. Right? It was something. Did anybody see the movie about Mandela and soccer? Not soccer, but rugby, 1995. Right, you didn't watch. But he said in there, the sports commentator was saying, Mandela was saying in an interview, yeah, I used to play rugby myself. It's a real rough game. Not as rough as politics, though. But anyway, so the Springboks, they used to, he said in prison, we always was against the Springboks. We was always for Europe or whoever. You know, he said, but now you're for it. He said, yeah. He says, history He said something like, sometimes history demands that you change. And for us to be where we are right now, we have to change, right? Yeah. And for what he did in South Africa, it was brilliant. It's just that you couldn't keep the niggas doing good long enough. But it was brilliant. They just messed up where they didn't give enough of the land back, because white folks still have the power, the money and the power in South Africa. And the niggas is messing up. So, and the white folks is feeding the democratic ideas in the born frees. It won't be but a little while there. What's the name will be a thing of the past. Yeah. Because all the born frees that was not born under apartheid or didn't live under apartheid, maybe they were 5, 6 years old, they don't remember. They're born free. They're the police, they're everybody. They're democratic, like, they're not with Mandela's party, whatever that thing was. ANC, they're not with them. They're not with them because the Negro won't act right. Zuma, this crackpot, girlfriends everywhere. Even though poor woman had AIDS or something, and he's still messing with it. This insanity. You know what I mean? They did the brothers just like the Jomo Kenyatta did the Mau Maus. When I was in East Africa, it was a big thing about the Mau Maus were all armed robbers. They were out on the road robbing people, using what they learned during the rebellion. They were at the forefront, but they brought Kenyatta back, put him in, and he was one of them, and he disenfranchised them, right? The ANC disenfranchised all the people. They were standing around them big barrels when I was there, getting heat from them big barrels. You throw wood in there. And didn't look out for them. Okay. So I'll put it this way. I'm going to move toward a close. We've studied just about everything, and we see for the time we're living in, for the place we are, for the trouble that's headed America's way from what they're doing in Russia and China and all the Middle East, right? With all of what's happening in Palestine, all the people who we just mentioned are on the ascendancy, even in Palestine. You could tell, right, that this one was different. You could tell Yemen, that's different, right? They held on. And then they not only held on, not to change the subject, but they're raising money. The little babies in Yemen got the biggest the finger, right? You see the little arm, big as the finger, and they raising money. There's some serious people for Palestine. Technically, the Palestinians got it better than they do, right? Technically. But they're helping, I'm telling you. See, okay, that's the team we own. And it's so much stuff, but instead of talking about strategic brilliance, I'm going to stop right now and say that after this historical analysis, we're writing our own history. That's what people would say about us, that we looked at this historical analysis and we wrote what we said we was. We wrote our own history, or we wrote our own future. Yep. So we look at this as strategic brilliance. So we'll be going over this for the near future. And I would just like to close with a few statements here from a case against ex-guard brings scrutiny of D.C. Imam. This is a 2007 article. Did anybody see that in the newspaper? Remember that article that was in the newspaper, or did anybody see it? Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while. I just wanted to read a few things just to bring us up to date. This is the same article when they was trying to say that Abdul Jalil had did da-da-da-da-da. And Abdul Jalil, he's a nice guy, but he was head of security, and the only thing he was going to secure is the dinner table. Tell the truth. You would think that he was actually pregnant. And it was his job to physical fitness. Some brothers hated it. You gotta leave it alone, take it easy, don't worry about it. Because we already know what Boss Man is doing. This 2007, he's been doing this stuff for decades. So we already know that whoever you get rid of him, they're gonna bring somebody else in doing the same. You're not gonna do, you know what I mean? So let him stay around. So him and what's his name, his homeboy, come here sometime, eat up all the food. It's okay, it's good. So they're talking about a debate based on the questions surrounds a case to be heard this fall in U.S. District Courthouse in Greenbelt. Submitted evidence includes public pronouncements by Abdul Alim Musa, who has served for 18 years as Imam of a mosque in Southeast Washington. Amongst his past statements, Zionist American agents blew up the World Trade Center. That's terrible. Palestinian suicide bombers are heroes. U.S. government saturated U.S. cities with heroin during the 1960s to snuff out the Black Rebellion. White sissy federal agents are best handled by the techniques of his lecture, How to Punk the FBI. This is in the newspaper, so. The government hadn't charged the imam, but a long-time and devoted member is what they call in Derek Jackson, 37, is charged with such and such because he was working at Andrews Air Force Base and he didn't say that he knew us. Musa is 62, so you know this is old. No, security, we kept him there because we know who he is. We've been knowing what we've been knowing since the day we got here and before. So anything that's happened, we're not collaborating with it, but we're just waving at it. And we're not, ain't nobody gonna get tired. We don't want a white man to make us do nothing. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing. You ain't seen me all frowned up doing no dumb stuff like that. Go on, boss man, do what you want. But we're going to use what Allah have given us, and we're gonna we're gonna get out of it what we think is best for us, or what's good for us. So that's why we kept him where he was. You stay there, enjoy yourself. Man, hey y'all, working out. That's what we built the little workout thing. Yeah, I'll be back in a minute. You would never see it. You wouldn't, don't worry. You ever hear him say that? I'll be there, I'm gonna come, He has never lifted a weight. Never, never, never. He's never walked around the block. Never, never, never. He has walked, if he could get up and walk, from his seat, and he stayed there playing the video games all day, right? No, but we have him head of security. It's a joke. It's fun. And the brothers were serious. Man, he can't. I said, just take it easy. Don't worry about a thing. Why are you going to try to do something serious when you got cranks just everywhere? Why are you going to use all your energy? Just have a good time, right? That's why, oh, you're going to be back in a minute. We'll be waiting on you, just laughing. Man, I won a championship when I was 14. I was a boxer. You know, I said, you was 14? I said, that was great. I said, man, when I was 6 years old, you know what I mean? I beat up all of these people, and I was the heavyweight champion in California. So he tells me a lie. I just tell him a bigger lie. Unbelievable lie. It's just ridiculous. Why would I tell him, nigga, you lying? Did you at 14 you won what, the Golden Gloves? It might even be illegal for somebody that young to be fighting. You can't do that. I ain't so, that ain't nothing. Man, when I was 6 years old, man, look at here. I was a wrestling champion. I was a boxing champion. You know what I mean? I was a middleweight champion and a heavyweight champion and a flyweight champion. And I did this and I did that. And he would just look at me like normal. Not like I'm lying, which of course, it's not even lying. It's just like, yeah, you can tell one. Wait till you hear this. Okay, let me speed up. Jackson's attorney. And now he's talking about me. According to court records, the government proposed showing jurors, amongst other things, a 17-word video snippet featuring Musa that aired this year on Fox News. They was going to show it on it. It says, if you don't stay out of our way and leave us alone, we're going to burn America down. Musa said from behind the podium at the University of California, Irvine, September the 9th. This is September the 9th, 2001. 2 days before. In fact, I got stuck in L.A. That comment was part of what for Musa was a typically wide-ranging speech. It careened from subjects such as visits to Pakistan to Japanese holdout fighters of World War II, but centered on Jamil Al-Amin, formerly H. Rap Brown, a prominent Black Panther in the 1960s. Musa set up the Burn America Down comment by saying that he was paraphrasing Al-Amin, which prosecutors have since acknowledged. In other words, if I would have said, burn, baby, burn, or burn down America, they could have put me in jail because I was advocating violence. But at this conference, I said, we used to say, or they used to say, burn, baby, burn. I said it meant two things. Either burn, baby, burn, mean you could dance real good, or burn down America. And what they said was, if you don't leave us alone, you don't give us our freedom, we're going to burn America down. And I had run up on this Japanese holdout in World War II. This was about in 1975. That was 30 years after the war. That's 30 years. Yeah, that was 30 years after the war was over. You know, out in the islands, they used to find Japanese holdouts. A unit might have been stuck on an island, and they was out there living in the woods for 5 years, a lot of them. But as the time got further, pretty soon you didn't hear about it anymore. But the last one was a guy, he became a hero in Japan. They found him, but he was still on the move. So somebody had let him know that the war was over 30 years ago. And you might as well surrender and lay down your, he said, you bring my commander here that put me on this post. And it showed him handing over his sword 30 years later to his commander. I was using that to teach on discipline, self-control, and the way we ought to be about Islam. And I ain't giving up nothing, right? Hey, man, I said, that is a bad boy there. Hey, man, 30 years later, and he been running around in the woods, and his uniform was torn. He still had his Japanese stuff on. And that boy, I said, that's a bad boy there. So it kind of inspired you. It gives you a little inspiration. Okay, but anyway, so I included that. I ain't going to talk about Marty Bray now. Days in there. John Miller, an assistant director and chief spokesman for the FBI, said Musa's comments about white sissy and dishonest federal agents were incorrect, bigoted, and stupid. Saying I was stupid. And Musa knows as much, Miller said, but makes the remarks to get attention. The FBI has gone to great lengths to reach out to the Muslim community nationwide. Miller said, adding that Musa's opinion of the FBI doesn't track with those of national Muslim leaders, which is true. Our attitude about boss man is different than theirs. They love him. But the thing of it was, John Miller, the director of the FBI just waves at everybody and stuff. He don't do nothing. It's the assistant director. They have two assistants. They run the FBI. If the assistant director of the FBI, now this is the guy that's writing the article, and he's talking to me. It takes him a long time to write this article. So he says, yeah, I talked to da-da-da-da-da. That means that this was way back then, that the FBI has to have detailed stuff on me. Of course, I know it, but this is telling everybody else. If the assistant director, that means the one that's managing everything, right, knows about you, then that means that, hey, so does the rest of everybody else in the FBI, and so it's a national thing. It ain't something. So Musa says he isn't a racist. When he criticized Jews as Euros, his frequent term for white people, Musa says he's criticizing the Israeli and American system. We use Euros. But anyway, the point I'm making is that whatever we're doing here, we've been doing it for a long time. And we've been on the radar from day one. I showed y'all paperwork from 1981 that we don't want you to go back out there, parole hearing. We don't want you to go back out there and do that Muslim stuff again. Like that's the reason I was back, because of the Muslims, right? And I went right back out and did just what, because I wasn't paying no attention. Now, anyway, the last part I'll read is, you Muslim leaders should be ashamed of yourself, he wrote, castigating local leaders for inviting Bush to visit the Islamic Center in Washington, D.C., comparing them to German Jews of the 1930s. He closed the letter with a disclaimer of sorts. I ask Allah's forgiveness for anything I might have said. That's a kula qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum. So it's not I'm so sorry I said. Well, in a way it is, if anything might go wrong. Huh? Another hit for him appearing on the hot seat on Fox News, Hannity's America, and engaging in rapid fire across the table argument with hosts. Imam, if you're not on the terror watch list, you ought to be. I am on the terror watch list. What I say? You belong on the terror watch list. Hey man, you belong on the insane list of people that support George Bush. And I mean, they wasn't ready for stuff. They used to, I ain't had no more interviews on no more programs that I can think of, maybe one or two from Channel 2 down in Atlanta. But they want bootlickers and accommodators. So when I told Hannity what I told him, they said, that's it for you. You'll never show up on our stuff again. Open letter to the people of Oakland. This is an open letter. This is saying the same thing that we said today about Christians, Jews, and Muslims establishing the kind of system that Musa alayhi salam would love, that Isa alayhi salam and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi salam would love. Open letter to the people of Oakland. It's open letter to the churches. Oh, that's open letter to churches. We got open letters to DC churches. We got all of those. What I'm saying is this stuff have been happening all along. All of these things, we've been moving toward re-Africanization of Islamic movement. We've been moving here for a long time. Letter of introduction to DC churches. All of this is probably old as any of this other stuff. All of this stuff is old. We just have a feeling at times, and the feeling would say it's not time to go back to Oakland. We talk about it in khutbahs all the time, like waiting for a sign. You know, people always are, well, we do. Sometimes we take it easy and wait for a sign. And that sign have just arrived not long ago. It didn't just pop up, but it's been rising all the time. Are there any questions about anything that we've said? But we've been through all of this stuff thoroughly. Saboteurs in Oakland, sabotage, making people tired of movement, running people crazy, killing people. Everything they did in the last few years was to try to do that. Getting busted all upside the head, trying to take money and all that stuff. That would run the average person, that would run 97% of the people crazy if that happened to them. Or make a mean, right? Or they would kill somebody, and then you're finished. Then anything they can do to make you move on their time, you're in trouble. They haven't been able to do none of it with us. I know we're a miracle organization and we're a miracle movement, and we thank Allah for that. This is not, we just happened up here, something like that. We understand who we are, where we are, and what we've been doing, and we've been understanding it. And this game of ping pong, we're still on the table. Yeah, we're still on the table. And I think the score is headed our way. Boss Man is finished. Boss Man, look, the shirt, Boss Man bites the dust. She had one on. Boss Man bites the dust. Look what's happened since then. Just two years ago. Good God Almighty, that boy has bad luck, if there's such a thing. Boss Man and had bad luck. Are there any questions? I don't mean to overwhelm you, but this is our talking points for the near future. We hope to get around to our people starting, we'll be writing a little bit next week, but starting mid-June, we want to start getting around on a regular basis to talk to the young people. And we'll have a message that is workable and digestible. And the more places we go, the more questions we get about it. Within a couple of trips, it'll be polished and ready to go. Yeah.
One of the brothers did say on the, I guess the pivot toward, kind of infiltrating the system. One of the brothers, he's a regular. He has said, "Yeah, man, I agree on this."
Good. Because at first it's going to sound funny. What did you say? I said,
It still sounds funny. It's extremely brilliant, but it still sounds
yeah, okay, but does it make sense?
No, it makes sense.
This is the thing. Does it, what other options do we have? Offhand, what other options do we have when our wives, children, our life, property, everything is on the line? And you see, the police can do technically what they want.
And at the same, even when you hear people talk about organizing, there's no way, there's no discussion on how to do that.
Yeah, there's no pattern, there's no plan, there's no focus like, right, why are we doing this? You want a job. Well, if you want a job, join the rest of the people, but with a purpose. Now this makes sense to black people. Okay. You carried a gun then. I don't hear of hardly any, 1 out of 1,000 black police shoot any black kid. Right? Definitely ain't shooting. Oh, no. That Ethiopian that did something to that white woman up there in, in the penitentiary. He in the penitentiary. What? He lucky they didn't string him up. He didn't even get strung up. 12 years in the penitentiary. Yeah. Muslim. He's lucky. He got it good. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Okay, we owe history something too. We owe, Allah bring us through all of these things and we get a chance to go through all of this. Okay, now then what are you going to do with it? That's the question, right? So it ain't hard for me to say this type of stuff. It's not hard at all, because we've been headed this way all the time, and it makes sense. And it'd be 5 years for boss man to even get his bearings right. He don't really mean that. He gonna come up with something else next week. It's boss man might be thinking. And if he did, there's nothing he can do about it. It'd take him years to change this policy. Plus, it'd take him a lot more years to change Negroes. There's no other jobs that are available for them except working in the system. And they have handed us, George Floyd's life will really mean something, because they're not ever going to forget it. Because sooner or later they're going to go back and look at that video, maybe this year, maybe in 5 years, and remind them. You know what I mean? What they're about. What the system is about. What the system thinks of them. It'll remind them of what they've already given this country. You can't give no more than they already gave without getting nothing back, right? So now you're gonna move yourself in a way to where at least you can protect your family and friends and show the world some different possibilities under different circumstances. See, this would not be suggested in certain other systems, certain other times. Okay? If we haven't, in criminal law, they have certain things, the court will ask you, have you exhausted all your remedies? You know, there's 20 remedies for this. Have you exhausted all your remedies? Right? Have you filed all of these writs that followed that procedure? We have exhausted all our remedies. We've tried everything, right? As black people. So now we're going to try this. We've already tried this, but we tried it without a purpose, without a focus, except to feed our own bellies. That's all. We didn't join the army to go over and kill people over there. They're the same color and everything, but what the heck? Better them than us. Bad policy. So now, with all of this, okay, any questions or comments?
Brother said a few days back, he said he's been under Bayah at Masjid al-Islam in Oakland since 2008.
2008? Well, that's great. That's great. Yeah, the foreigners came here and they said, what do you want us to do with our Bayah? I said, wasn't that 12 years ago? Anyway, it's okay. Ahmed, what's his name? Anyway. Don't be surprised at whatever come through. Dear believers, now I close with this. Whatever other people are doing, that's good, and I hope they're happy with it. I just happen to think this is the best job in the world, right here. I think this is it. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Classes are out, right? So, in school?
In the school?
Yeah.
It depends. College, yeah. College, it depends. You typically would have about 3 hours each class each week, and so you would typically maybe have a 15-minute class every three days during the week, or you would have like a 1.5-hour class every 2 days of the week, something like that. Yeah.
So is it anybody getting together at all?
That's why I brought it up, because I don't think it's, you would have a capacity.
Nobody's on campus or around campus or.
Like you were saying, they may have summer school, but it's just a short period.
Yeah, and everybody's off campus right now, so you don't kind of get that organic word of mouth. Everything's kind of virtual.
Yeah. Then it's
Now, I imagine that's going to change this upcoming fall with this push to kind of get everything back to normal. We're just going to open up everything this fall.
Okay, well, we can we'll develop a schedule that fits around that, inshallah. We'll develop a schedule that fits around that, inshallah. Okay, alhamdulillah.